Hello, Musto0063 back for Shovel Knight Part 14. Last time we completed the entrance to the Tower of Fate, so this time we're going after what looks like the final level of the Tower of Fate, the Ascent. And immediately, as I said in Part 13, where we're going to kind of be borrowing quite heavily from previous stages, this time we're going to be borrowing quite heavily from treasure. You can see here we're clearly already underwater. Also Polar and Tinker. Not to say there aren't elements of other ones, like Mole Knight for instance, but yeah, treasure, Tinker and Polar I think certainly being the main ones. For that kind of area, there was kind of two ways you could go. I went one way just in order to get a little bit more money, but it didn't matter too much. Just be careful with the water physics, particularly in this one, that you don't jump too high and accidentally, whack your head on a spike on the ceiling. So this area we've got lava, which borrowing from Mole Knight stage, and we've got the clockwork mice from Tinker stage. Also still got these slightly annoying vampire enemies, which are, again, this one I kind of feel, well, were taken from the first stage really, so they're kind of like their own, Tower of Fate enemy, which is nice. Always good to have some kind of still unique enemies for the final kind of areas and such like that. This area here, the kind of, I feel like, I could go down here, but I kind of feel like that mouse is really in a really awkward space. If I get whacked by that and get sent back, then I'm going to fall in the lava. So, always like to kind of just take my time over this kind of area and just be very, very careful. Now, admittedly, I could use the dust knuckles at the top here, and that's probably one of the strategies they possibly envisage you doing in order to kind of avoid this bottom area. But I didn't think of it at the time, and I don't think I'd really ever thought about it until actually just now. But yeah, it strikes me as actually being fairly obvious that maybe the dust knuckles is what they're trying to get you to do there. But as I say, you can go down. There's no problem with it. Okay, so here we've kind of got Mole Knight again, I guess, with the things from the top kind of spewing out fire. We've also got these slime enemies, which, if the fire, by the way, actually lands on them, become fiery, and then you can no longer pogo on them. But I don't plan on doing so anyway, really, because, well, look at the bottom area. You've got these blocks that if you pogo too much, you probably end up getting rid of much of your safe ground and falling in the lava. So I just take this area nice and slow, wait for a good time where the slimes kind of get out of your way and you can just jump through. Careful in this bit, obviously, just not to pogo too far and break that last little block. You can break it and then move to the left to be safe, so it's not like the end of the world, but yeah. Best be safe than sorry. So here we've got Polar, or certainly from the gargoyle rainbow spewing platform, and this bit is probably one of the trickiest platforming bits in the game, dependent on, I suppose, how you approach it. I tend to, on some occasions, use phase lock it just because, particularly the vampire enemies, they are very kind of tricky, where they just kind of like fall down at certain points in time and whatnot. I mean, you can use certainly the war horn to clear out the part, your path from enemies, and that works rather nicely. But I guess a lot of the time you should actually be trying to use the platform itself to kill enemies. If you run it into something, and we're going to get the really irritating fan enemies kind of coming up. So again, I could have just continued on to the right and knock the gargoyle platform into it, but I thought let's just be really super on the safe side. Let's get out the war horn and just make sure I clear it in one go, and clear it quickly and easily. There was always a chance that it might just hover over the platform and whatnot, so yeah, not the kind of thing I want to take too many risks on. Another one coming up here, and I think for this one, I think I just decided to plough through, because I'm pretty sure that this one, the height of it just works out pretty nicely. Yeah, it kind of starts off at the height that you're already at, so I don't think there's too much danger here. You also want to try and make sure that you keep the platform high enough up, because there's a music sheet there, and if you drop off here, it's pretty much one that you're not going to get again. So, yeah. I also got the Order of Hoarders achievement here for getting over 50,000 gold. So since I was breaking apart checkpoints, that's reasonably easy to do. There were some moving platforms there which borrow from Tinker Knights quite heavily, and this area which borrows heavily from Tinker Knight stage, and then we've got an upward ascent, which I guess kind of is what the stage said it would be. So yeah, we need to move quickly in this area. We can't dilly-dally around for several reasons. One, we need to get this music sheet. The other one, of course, that we don't want to find that we've got too low down and you know, can't ride and can't get up high enough. I decided to use the phase locket there just in case I ended up walking on the spikes. There's a little narrow gap there, and it's easier than you might think to just position yourself badly so that you kind of jump. When you jump, you hit the ceiling on the right hand side, and then it's a bit of a panic. You think, oh, now I've got to move to the left and jump up quickly. So I just put the phase locket on there just to make sure that I could move kind of safely enough over to the left. So that if I did, I don't think I did go anywhere near those spikes still, but just in case I had, I didn't want to take the risk. This section has a little bit of a kind of a blockade, which you know, all blocks that you need to kind of clear with the exploding mice. Also the vampire enemies, which just kind of drop down, kind of a little bit by surprise, although I knew where they were. And you have to be kind of a bit careful here again that you don't pogo, because if you're going to do that, you're going to break apart, you know, the safety of the platforms and whatnot. So yeah, take it reasonably steady, slow and steady, but not too slow to the point that you get scrolled off screen. And they're giving us a whole bunch of food here. Well, they gave us a bomb there, but they gave us chicken, I think it was, up in the top of the previous screen, and another one, and an apple. So yeah, that kind of lends itself to think that we've got something kind of important coming up. And indeed we have. We've got a boss rush. And I do apologise if my character voice is inconsistent with previous. Oh, now this is rich. Who let this peasant in here to spoil our sumptuous supper? Hardly a surprise that you've yet again set foot where you don't belong. We should punish you. You're in deep now. We want a rematch. My new plans have no flaws. You can't win this time. A battle royale then. Marvellous. Who will go first? Pass the salt. So yeah, we've got a boss rush, and I love the way they did this. So you've got them all at this kind of a dining room table, just eating their dinner, and yeah, I love the way they did this. It's a kind of it's obviously the classic Megaman staple and whatnot, but you know, without having like a boss rush with teleporters and whatnot, which just wouldn't fit with Shovel Knight's kind of style and whatnot. I love the way they did this. So it was Propeller Knight up first, and in case that's a bit why they had the window in the background so you could see the ship. And this time we get to see the other move that he does. So it would be a bit unfair, I think, to permanently destroy this floor with his with the giant cannonballs which drop down. So we get his other move, which is to have the smaller bombs which just kind of explode all over the place. I did say I was talking about the difficulty kind of thing, so I would say Propeller is probably one of the two most difficult of the, probably the most difficult one actually, just because he spends a lot of time flying up out of reach. He also has just, a really irritating thing in his normal fight anyway, where he breaks apart the floor and has fans and whatnot which blow you into them, so the constant threat of instant death when fighting Propeller probably makes that the most difficult one. He also does a lot of damage with his moves as well. So second up is Polar, and probably, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's the second most difficult, but probably the third one, again just because he has this instant death thing where he kind of gets rid of the snow on the floor and reveals spikes. So yeah, Polar is probably one, I would say maybe in the top half of the difficult stage, but probably not quite up there with Propeller, and I think there's one more that's just slightly more difficult. Third up is Spectre. By the way, you can see the plateau with the chicken in there, which is very nice. Again, it's a kind of a different take on the health refill and whatnot. You don't have to get them, as I'm kind of doing here, immediately after you beat one. So if you're confident enough in your ability and you've got enough health, then I would probably recommend kind of keeping them there. You might as well not use it instantaneously. Use up the health that you've already got when fighting a boss. Without having to refill. It certainly makes sense as a tactic. But yeah, it's there if you need it. Spectre Knight, probably one of the easier ones. He is obviously one of the first two that we could fight in the game normally. Yeah, I think it becomes a little bit easier, particularly but it's much easier, I think, if you have the flare wand. Also, other kind of relics are certainly going to help as well. Thankfully, as well, he is now also going to show off his other attack, or I say attack, it's more of a kind of a gimmick rather than attack. But thankfully, he does show it off just in time, I think, before he dies. So yeah, he summons the darkness, which is a bit of a kind of a gimmick from his level. So yeah, we didn't actually get to see that in his first fight, but there it is. He also puts up these platforms because he's a bit up high, so these platforms only kind of appear when the Spectre Knights fight, and obviously you can see now they've disappeared. So, fourth up is Treasure Knight, and I think he's probably falls into one of the more difficult ones, just because he seems to do a lot of damage, and sometimes his anchor just gets his move just becoming the worst possible moments for you when you're trying to attack him, in terms of the moves he does. So, like when he puts his anchor up, or this attack, which is very kind of difficult to avoid if he doesn't kind of time well, the treasure chest that he puts in the middle, and like that, for instance, that anchor there, which is dreadfully timed. Yeah, the treasure chest that he puts in the middle that kind of sucks you in, and all the mines that he kind of spits out, they are very difficult to avoid, by the way, no matter where you are on screen. Yeah, I do like his design. It's very, very nice. But yeah, I would say there's water there clearly as well. So again, during the fight, he puts water up, and again, it disappears naturally when he disappears. But yeah, I do think he's probably falls into one of the more difficult fights. Fifth up is King Knight, and probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest. He just seems to spend a lot of time not doing a lot really, or just jumping around, not attacking you all that much. This zoom attack is one you definitely want to avoid. It does quite a bit of damage if it hits you, and also the confetti, which if it hits you will kind of damage you, and it can be a little bit hard to avoid. But really, King Knight's probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest, and I love his design as well. So, sixth up is Plague Knight, and it's a bit of a different fight, this one, without the break-apartable floor this time. So we're kind of fighting him on stable, even ground. That's not to say that he won't summon beakers every now and again, which are actually really good for pogoing off of and getting that charge slash. You can also do it off the platter as well, which I don't know if you've caught before, but it's another advantage of kind of keeping that kind of to one side. As again, you can see there, I kind of double pogoed off the platter to get my charge swipe, and yeah, it's a much easier fight, I think, kind of second time around when you don't have the break-apartable floor and whatnot. You're also going to have much more in the way of relics and health probably as well. So yeah, I mean, all these fights should in theory be easier because you've got more health, but thinking about them when you first fight them, yeah, I would say Plague Knight's probably falls into probably the second most difficult. Tinker Knight falls into one of the easiest, particularly when you have his relic. I didn't show it off in the stage because I wanted to fight him normally, but yeah. He suffers from a bit of Metal Man disease. The wheel, I think, completely mobile gear, is a one-hit kill on Tinker Knight, which is, yeah, pretty good, and certainly if you don't want to actually fight him the normal way, in his first phase anyway, is certainly the way I would recommend fighting him. It's just, well, it just takes him out in one hit. It's extraordinarily useful. We don't get quite the same luck with the second half of the fight, and I still managed to mess up this transition by not staying at the top. I don't know what I was doing on this Let's Play. Normally I don't have any problem with that. It's just a case of just balancing up there, and if you can get it timed right, you can just avoid having, because when he goes back, he doesn't shoot out these kind of rocket fists kind of things at the beginning. So if you can get the timing right, then you can just stay at the top and pretty much kill him. So again, I messed it up again. I really don't know what the hell I was doing here. This fight goes by so much easier and quicker if you don't fall down, you can stay at the top. I don't really know what I was doing, but yeah, I still love this fight. I love the fact that you just still have it, or the fact that you still have his second form, just plonk that on top of the dinner table. Yeah, why not? Brilliant. And in some ways, it's probably I was actually kind of really pleased that we left my favourite for last. So Mole Knight's for last, and yeah, I think he's probably one of the probably falls in the easier half of fights, just because of basically this bit here where you can effectively get behind him and just pogo away on him to your heart's content. You get about 5 seconds where you can just continually, you know, pogo on his head and get damage. You also, with the extra armour, will get the bonus for the charge slash. So yeah, I love the fight. I love the kind of even just the sprite and everything when he goes like fiery and whatnot, and all this bit where he kind of, you know, caves you in, you know, puts you in a kind of a cave-in situation. But yeah, I love Mole Knight. He's, yeah, definitely I think my favourite of the whole lot. And yeah, I really like the fight. But it's probably on the easier side. But yeah, probably for this bit. But hey, it's still a very enjoyable one. And I love this, by the way. Another different take on the classic Megaman style. They're all hanging on by their fingertips, which is wonderful. I love this. Give us a hand, Shovel Knight. You wouldn't leave us to hang here, would you? Actually, you can, but no, I'd kind of fake that out. But no, if you shovel, you know, you can kind of like give them a helping hand up. No amount of wealth is worth the heartache that awaits you. Good luck, doomed hero. I have to hand it to you. You have superior digging technique. We should share notes. My castle, my luxury, my fiefdoms, my chandeliers. Curse you, Shovel Knight. My defeat is of no concern. The enchantress cannot be stopped by any mere mortal. I may not have your strength, hee-hee, but I am still far more clever. So watch out, hee-hee-hee. And I accidentally clicked on him again. Ah, how invigorating, how uplifting. If all your quests are this much fun, I should go with you. There are substantial inadequacies in my hydraulic actuators. Considerable iteration is warranted. I meant what I said. You should still join us. Yeah, again, apologies probably for my inconsistent voice acting there, but doing 8 at once, I kind of like forget what I've done with all the rest of them. But yeah, that is the end of the level, and in true Mega Man style, or not necessarily all of them, but yeah, there is an extra hidden level that we have to clear. So that wasn't the end of the game, we've still got one more level to do. And I also decided at this point in time, because I got a few extra magic sheets, no, that's not what I was after, music sheets, that I'll cash those in, so 6 actually, so I get an extra 3,000 gold, not that I again need it, but I did think I did this more for the point of kind of showing off that I had now got 41 out of the 46, so there are actually 5, unbelievably, on the final level, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to cash all these in before we get to the final level, just to kind of show that I definitely have got them all, because you don't get a chance to actually cash in the final 5 before completing the game. So yeah, I thought I would just kind of show off all these 41 that I've got, and let you know that there are indeed 5 in the final level, which will take me up to the maximum 46. So I will be getting all the music sheets. But with that, we pretty much have done absolutely everything we could possibly do up to this point in time. So yes, next time we will take on the final level, the Tower of Fate ? We'll finally face off against the Enchantress, aka Shield Knight, and it shall be super awesome. So until then, cheerio.